It's Sunday the 27th of September, and I would like to share some thoughts about the Iranian situation that seems to be fast developing. Tehran's nuclear ambitions are hardly any secret to the world at large, let alone the Obama administration. If you recall, it was Obama's very early extension of the normalizing relations with Tehran that was like sour grapes in the Iranian mouth, because Obama's supposed olive branch he offered to Iran was replete with concomitant, very high-level CIA covert economic sabotage Washington has been waging on Tehran for several years now in an effort to isolate their national banks from the rest of the world. Therein, to cut off all relations with any banks that do international business with at least the two major of only three national banks in Iran. This pressure from Washington globally has been relentless, presumably to curb the development of their very extensive peaceful nuclear apparatus. The idea is that if you can isolate Iran from the international business, it might stop or very severely slow the accumulation of much needed US dollar currency they need to buy the precious refined uranium on the global market. This is already a very tricky proposition, since the United Nations Atomic Watchdog Agency, in combination of the International Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, renders it an almost non-existent possibility, and in such a rare event that one of only a handful of nations would even be able to sell it, they would expect to be paid in US dollars, the world's reserve currency, and not in the Iranian worthless paper. We know who could sell it, and so we watch with great interest everything that they do to prevent this possibility from occurring. At present, Iran does not have enough dollars to even buy it outright, and it would be a violation to the Non-Proliferation Treaty for the seller. Option 2 is refine their own uranium. This is what all the fuss is about. Iran maintains they want to pursue and have the right to pursue a peaceful nuclear program by all accounts that would be fine. The problem is that we have already seen the infrastructure they have built underground, no less. Just a bit suspicious, don't you think? And the particular infrastructure is consistent with only one purpose for such a vast development, and that purpose is quite simply to refine and enrich uranium, as this is not for any other peaceful nuclear program. Iran has been very clear about its ambitions, and this is not a surprise. It occurs to me that the reason they developed this entire site's infrastructure underground was not to conceal its activities, because a project this large will surely create interest in spying eyes. They will identify something very big and massive is underway, so that they are not hiding anything. It's presumably to avoid the pitfall of Iraq, when the Israelis knocked out the entire missile program in one punch under cover of night with a few F-16 US fighters without warning, and done, game over. Remember, Iran would like to try and protect its very large economic investment in future nuclear interest. Quite simply, Iran cannot be trusted, and the latest developments in shuttle diplomacy by Secretary Clinton and the President is a sure signal that, for some apparent reason, Washington is very nervous about its potential to contain the Iranian threat to most obviously the state of Israel. Israel is in an unfortunate position, as always, surrounded by her enemies, and not enough fuel in the F-16 tanks to safely make a raid very quickly, at least set back several years in the process, if not be outright destroyed by reason of its underground infrastructure, and make it back to a safe landing to her pilots. Nowhere to land. If they even had this as an idea, it's dead in the water, because they simply cannot pull it off like they did with Iraq. It's much further to Iran from Israel than it is to Iraq. The US has been absolute on this matter, with the Israelis telling them not to worry, that they were on top of the situation, and had it contained all the recent show of bravado by Tehran with missile tests flexing its military muscle makes Washington believe they may have overlooked